Hey everybody, welcome back to Castos. We're always on a mission to find new ways to use private podcasting, member-only podcasting. And with our Zapier integration, we can do some pretty fun things. We have a lot of customers who use Shopify, and they have their e-commerce business, and they might have this supplemental podcast. But what we were thinking recently was, wouldn't it be awesome to deliver private podcasts for like tutorials on how to put a product together? So maybe you're selling something that somebody has to, put together by hand, read some instructions, maybe kind of difficult. Maybe there's like a walkthrough or something like that to warm up the customer on how to use your product. So we said, wow, we could ship private podcasts for that. And if you're selling something on Shopify, you can use our Zapier integration to send new customers into your private podcast hosted here at Castos. So here we have a Castos headquarters, what looks to be a furniture store that we're launching here at Castos. And it's the world's best chair ever made. And for $100, you can buy that on our Shopify and we'll send it to you. But the problem is that putting this chair together, even though it's the best in the world, is a little difficult. You're going to need some extra support. You're going to need some extra guidance. So we'll deliver a private podcast to you. So here we are in our Shopify dashboard. The thing you'll need to have set up first is Zapier integration, right? You need to have a Zapier account. You can get a free Zapier account at zapier.com if you've never used it. And of course, you'll need an account over at Castos for your private podcasting. So we'll just take a look at the Castos dashboard. I have a podcast here and I have a private podcast here, which will be the location where all these new customers go into. And once somebody signs up and buys a product, they create a new customer inside the Shopify database. It'll automatically be sent here, and we're going to take a look at that in a moment. But let's walk through the Zapier setup so that you can see what this looks like. So in Zapier, what we're saying is when a new customer is set up in Shopify, trigger that to be sent over to Castos for the private podcast. Now, there's different things that you could do. You could change this from a new customer to a whole new order. So, if there's a certain set of product that you sell and it's chairs, but you sell other things, but only the chairs need to get this private podcast because that's the one that's a little bit more difficult, you could do that. Or if you're just selling goods and you said, hey, we have this private podcast for all of our customers. It's just a value add. You can get it for free when you check out at Shopify. You could also go that route. Totally up to you. And that's sort of the beauty with podcasts in general, because audio can fill so many gaps for you as a marketer, as a product builder, or a business owner. And then with Zapier, you can do some fun stuff, right? So you can trigger all of these things or filter all these things however you see fit. So we say a new customer because it's just going to work easier for this example today. And then it's going to go through and set up all of the testing points. Make sure that, we can actually create a new customer. And then we tell Zapier to send this over to Castos and create a private subscriber. That's what we want to do. When that private subscriber is created on the Castos side, it sends that user an email, whichever email they used at the checkout of Shopify. It sends them a special link from Castos that says, hey, subscribe to this private podcast. Now, there's other videos on this channel, I'll link them up below, that show that whole process working, the ins and outs of a private podcast. But that's essentially what it does. New purchase made or new customer made on the Shopify side, send them this private link so that they get this private podcast. Now, you could do this with membership sites or digital products as well. It doesn't always have to be a physical product or something like that. And in Zapier, we say, hey, select the Castos account. What do we want to do? We want it to add the email and name to this particular private podcast. Now, there's only one private podcast on my test account, which you can see right here. And you can actually already see the test that I ran before, tombrady@castos.com, is already set up there, which you see right here in Zapier. And you could have multiple private podcasts, right? As many private podcasts as you want, and then you can shuffle people around into the different private podcasts based on the different products that you sell. Again, a lot of flexibility here. So we're going to add a customer just so you can see it in action. So click on Add Customer. Say Joe Smith at Castos.com. And that's, I think I might have to put a name in here, Smith, and that's all we're going to add for this example's sake. We're going to hit save. And that's it. Now the customer's created. This is going to happen when somebody maybe purchases a product from you, or maybe you're importing customers. This can happen, on the front end when the transaction is made, or if you're piping customers in by manually adding them or bringing them in from, let's say, a MailChimp or some other CRM, something like that. Let's go into the Zapier real quick, and we're going to go into our Shopify to Castos Zap, and we're just going to run it because it runs every 15 minutes, so we just want to run it right now. Want to let it do its thing. It's going to find the new items, trigger these items, and then send over that private subscriber into, or that email address into our private podcast as a subscriber. So we'll close this, go back to Castos, hit refresh. Distribution, private podcast, and there's Joe Smith at Castos.com, which is the user we added directly into our Shopify customer database. He's now in our private podcast, and Joe Smith at Castos.com just received an email that says, here's your private link to the podcast, and click which podcasting app you want to listen to this podcast in. You can use iTunes or Apple's podcast app, Stitcher, whatever podcast listening apps that you use on your device. And that's it. Just a fun, creative way to not only deliver meaningful content to your customers, or must-have content, right? It's a must-have this course on setting up your product, or this nice value add. It's a great way to sort of connect your customers to your company, to your brand, through audio, through podcasting, and these little private podcast tutorials. My name's Matt. You can reach me at matt@castos.com if you want to learn more about this stuff. Check out the links below. We'll leave a copy of the Zap link there so you can just click it and use it in your own Shopify store. With the holidays coming up, and there'll be a pretty large rush to selling on Shopify and WooCommerce, pretty much any platform that you can connect up Zapier to, you can do these types of fun things. They make a purchase. We send them into a private link. We do this with digital products, with memberships, and physical products like this example. On Shopify, what do you think? The best chair ever made for $100? Would you buy it? I don't know. Let me know. If you like videos like this, thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you want more podcast marketing stuff from Castos. All right, we'll see you in the next video.